news back from HPD on the float camera, so I'm glad I get to share that with you today. We see everyone except for David is here today, so thank you all. Did you all get a chance to review the meeting minutes, and did anyone have any comments, or do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I reviewed them. I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
A second, Sharon.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Aye.
All right. So we're going to talk about the flock cameras. I'll give you the meter parking update, the compliance update, financials, public comments, and then we'll have an open forum and adjournment. So let's go ahead and get started. We are attributing to the Astros because it was on specific game days. You can see that the meter revenue was higher than even our highest on a pre-COVID day, pre-pandemic. So we did really good in October. Occupancy was about 7% higher in October than the previous month, and it's also the second highest level ever for occupancy. Now again, rates were adjusted. So that's also part of what you're seeing in Washington. And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit too. But on average, now you'll see over here, our average transaction is now 572. The month before it was 471. So that was, a $1 difference. And we did adjust the rates end of September, early October. So we're seeing the effects of that now. And I'll talk about that in just in a slide or two. I've got some more information for you. Okay, so let's go on to the parking compliance update. Our expired meters to date is also doing pretty well. We the second highest month recorded since July of 21. I'm looking at RPP tows. I'm sorry. Okay. Through 31. So we have been issuing quite a few citations. And citation count has been up just in general. When occupancy goes up, citation count goes up. We've also been using quite a bit of overtime on our staff to fill in some of the gaps that we have on the night shift. So compliance is going well. And that 94 number that I was looking at is the tows that we do from residential parking permit areas. We have not received any applications for new RPPs in the area, but we continue to enforce the main ones over there, Lillian, and we've got some on Roy and Rose along those areas. Okay, so here is our annual statement, and you'll see that right here the projection for the year is $226,000 for meter revenue. This takes into consideration all of our meter history, all of our transactional history going back to 2013. So it's pretty conservative because we've had a lot of low performing time included in that. We removed the capital payment, so that's no longer in the model. And what we're looking at the end of the year net is a total of 178,000, with 106 going back to the PBD. And again, I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a conservative estimate because, we did just adjust the rates in the last month, and this model is not taking into consideration that as much. Another challenge with the rates, so I'm going to go to the next slide where we kind of did a little bit more analysis. So here is the monthly revenue for Washington, PBD, going from January all the way to October. And you'll see October is quite a big bump. So we had two things in October. We had the rate adjustment and we had the Astros. So we were trying to look at how we could kind of carve the Astros out on it, knowing that October was a bit of an anomaly for that. So what we did is we looked at the average transaction rate for all of these months, September back to January, and the average payment or the average transaction was $4.20 on the old rates. For the month of October, we were seeing an average transaction of 571, I think is what we saw earlier, which we think is going to be too high just because we wanted to factor the Astros out of it. So we took an average of the 420 and the 571 and came up with 494 as the average transaction that we'll see moving forward. So what that would do is it would make our monthly average for meter revenue about $19,000. Right now, we're seeing it at about $16,000 to $17,000 a month in meter revenue on Washington. So we'll go up to about 19, and that again is pretty conservative. Like I said, it's just 1 month of data, and there is a big kind of exception in there, a variable that we know is not going to recur again. Maybe it will next year in October, but for the next upcoming months. So the rate adjustment did have some change. We're not sure how much impact, but we estimate at least another $2,000 per month monthly going forward, and we're going to keep an eye on that. Of obviously November is going to be a little bit of a slower month. December will be a slower month, so it'll give us a better idea, and we can provide y'all some better numbers for our next meeting. But Washington had a really good month in October, so thank you, Astros, and thank you for all the folks who came out and paid the meters. Does anyone have any questions on this?
Would you say that over the last 12 months, the average number of transactions on a monthly basis is hovering around 4,250 transactions?
I think it's a little bit lower than that. Let's see, we can go. Oh, well, no, actually, yeah, 4,200 is right. Let me pull up my spreadsheet. We have a spreadsheet that we're working on. And let me see what assumptions we use for that averages. So the average transactions, it was about 3,900 for January to September. So we carved out the month of October because that 5,200 we thought was pretty high. Not sure if that, I mean, if we see that again, that'll be great. But a lot of that we think is Astros. So we just took that number, about 3,900 transactions at $4.94 per transaction, which is a little bit higher than what the average was for January to September. Probably not as high as what we're really going to see. We tend to do pretty conservative estimates. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I can't see any data past March of 2022. So. Oh
yeah. Okay. Let me tell you what I've got for January, and I can send you my spreadsheet. January was 34.56 and February was 31.91.
Okay, and that's just probably because it's cold outside.
Right. Yeah, we see usually from seasonality in metered parking for sure. November to kind of February, things slow down a little bit. And then once the weather starts getting better, people start going back out. So we definitely see a big pickup in March, end of February. But things tend to slow down in the holiday season for sure.
So I think the bottom line here is that we're projecting around $100,000 of essentially recurring revenue to the PBD, and we only have a $30,000 annual commitment as it stands right now.
That's correct. We need projects.
Right. And $200 and some odd thousand in the bank.
Right. Yeah, we need to start thinking of what the next project is, where we want to go. I was going to reach out to the planning department. Sharon had brought up bike lanes earlier. I'm not suggesting that we use bike lanes, but I had thought about reaching out to planning to see if there were any projects that were going to be happening in Washington or anything that they might suggest, like a smaller project. Do y'all have anything that the super neighborhood might be interested in doing? I know the roundabout has always been an issue, the lighting there at the roundabout, the art. So what are y'all?
So I would say two things. One is the roundabout. The roundabout, now that the golf tournament is over, is scheduled to undergo a 5-month um, resurfacing, drainage projects, sidewalks. So according to Abby, that should begin here in earnest very soon. So there is obviously the option of adopting those lighting structures, fixing them, and trying to bring them up to speed. Maybe that's something that we want somebody to go out and give us an estimate of maybe what that might cost to bring those structures, back to life. The other thing is, and most of this meter revenue comes from a very small area of Washington Avenue.
Right.
And HPD right now has begun an initiative, and I know we've used funds in the past to support, HPD overtime, but HPD has begun an initiative to attempt to, on the weekends, basically move the vehicular traffic out of the corridor between Durham and TC Jester. And by that, I mean what my understanding, and I've seen it in action, what they're doing is they're basically blocking off Durham from cars being able to go west and blocking off TC Jester for cars being able to go east about 1:30, 1:40 at night. So that's keeping, basically your bars are 15, 20 minutes from closing down, and they're not allowing traffic to come into that 4-block zone.
Okay.
They're also positioning cars at Dietering, where there's a parking lot behind Clutch. They're positioning HPD at Moy, and they're positioning them. I also believe they're at Sandman, where all these parking lots are, and they're directing this traffic basically to leave the zone. So they've effectively shut down the ability for cars to enter in, rev engines, burnout tires, just, be a nuisance in that area and linger along in that area. So the only thing you can do is exit and go north on TC Jester, or, exit to the east and, get on out of, that area. Now, my understanding is that Abby has funded that through the end of the year,
Okay.
and that our assistant chief is also looking for funds to keep that going. I've talked to him. I think it's about $3,300 a night to make that happen, and they're doing that in coordination with, I think, there's a mobility unit, I believe. But where I'm going with this is because the vast majority of the parking meter revenue comes from this particular area, there might be an opportunity for us to assist them with some monies to do this on a longer term basis.
And they do this every Friday and Saturday night?
I think it's Friday and Saturday night. They may do it Sunday. I don't know specifically, but I can figure that out.
Okay.
But it's something that has been effective. I've actually been out on Washington, at 1:45 and seen them do it, and it is completely designed to, move cars out of the parking lot and move them out of that zone and get on wherever you're going to be going. So it's been pretty effective from what I've seen, but it won't be able to be unless HPD can find the funds. And I think I figured it out. It's about $250,000 a year of funds they have to come up with to make it happen. So, I mean, obviously we can't support that whole effort, but, we could look at that as because we collect the vast majority of this revenue from that 4 to 5 block strip, we could look at trying to assist HPD in some way to keep that, program going.
Yeah, we could definitely look into that. Let me reach out to Councilmember Kamen's office to get more details, and we could look at the funding. We could definitely fund some of it, not the entirety of it, but
Correct. But I mean, once again, we've got you got a couple $100,000 in the bank. I'm not sitting here suggesting that we throw $100,000 at it, but I think that there could be a coordinated effort here between the PBD, between Councilmember Kamen's office, because we also have to remember Councilmember Kamen has, she's got her district council funds,
Right.
but that's not a lot of money. It's $250,000 a year. So we've got $200,000 plus a projected excess surplus of 70 grand. We've got as much money to spend as she does, and she has to spend that all throughout her district. So I think there's an opportunity to have a conversation with her to be able to bring some money to the table, and also, have HPD at that meeting as well, and figure out a way that we can all work together to solve the problems that are, the Washington Avenue people who call that some destination place that they come 3 or 4 nights a week.
Right.
So we're doing it with flock cameras. We're assisting HPD there. And I think it makes sense to maybe try to call a meeting between Kamen, if it's something that we think that we want to do, to call a meeting with Kamen and HPD and figure out how we can all work together.
Okay.
Keith, your thoughts?
Anything that helps the traffic in this area is a good idea.
Okay, that was simply stated.
Yes, I like it.
Does anyone else have any comments on that or concerns about looking into that further?
I have a project.
Okay.
So what if we were to pay for some EV chargers along Washington while people are parking?
So, have you heard of Evolve? It's the coalition that the mayor's office set up through the Office of Sustainability for EV charging and electrification in the city of Houston. One of the
I'm familiar with a company called Evolve, but not that Evolve. No.
so Evolve is it's the mayor's commission that he's put together on electrification, and they are looking at on street. So I support it, but I think we need to understand what is the right model. There's quite a few kinds of models out there. Some are challenging more so than others. And because the city has an initiative, I don't want to go and leap forward over it. I'm happy
Just
to work
let
with
them do it, you're saying.
Well, that it's going to be, I've already had conversations with them, and I know it's kind of headed in that direction. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, and I don't think we should get in front of that. And on-street electrical charging is kind of challenging. The city has deployed some of those, probably like 10 years ago. I don't think they're even used anymore. I don't know that they're maintained. So there's things that need to be worked out before we move EV charging into the on-street arena. But I support it, and definitely when the city is ready to do it, I would promote Washington as a good location for it.
Okay.
It will be coming. And actually a lot of the EV chargers, it's not about the city spending money. Sometimes it's just the third party comes in and does everything. So not sure that the PBD would have to expend anything in a situation like that. So
Okay, but we like that, right?
yeah, no, we like that. So I will keep you posted now that I know you're interested in EV, on-street EV, and let you know where those conversations go and what the plans are. I think it's still a little bit out there, but it's definitely something we need to start thinking about. You're on the right track.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have to come up with another project. I spent hours coming up with that.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not shooting it down by any means. I'm just telling you got to slow down. But yes, we do. So let me reach out to Councilmember Kamen's office and see what their plans are and how long they want to continue that and how it's been going. And I'll come back with information for y'all, and maybe we can look at that as a possible project moving forward. And of course, if there's anything else that you want us to look into, I don't have any projects to discuss today, any potential projects. I'm sorry, I was hoping to bring some, but I need to talk to the planning department and the folks who actually manage projects in the city to get some better ideas, because I think the ideas that we've been coming up with are not really gelling. So we definitely will come back with some ideas for you at the next meeting and welcome your feedback.
Well, and here's the other thing too, Maury, if the flock cameras work out,
Yeah.
You know, you can certainly, you know, commit more of your dollars
Mhm.
to, you know, improving the coverage in the zone.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah,
I think the map that you have right now will give us some good data points, you know, once they are deployed, about, you know, the activity in the zone. So it's certainly something we can add to in the future.
Yeah, that was why I asked Sergeant Dorton, what is the optimum coverage that you would want to see on Washington?
Right.
So that we have an idea that, okay, they want another, you know, 12, 13 cameras out there to make it foolproof.
And
Or
Maria,
at foolproof
now
cost.
that we've paid for all the meters, do we need any more meters?
So I am of the mind that we don't need to buy new meters. Now, that I think we are headed towards, you know, a cell phone environment. A lot of our pay by app transactions, that adoption rate keeps increasing. And we found that when we remove a meter on one side of the street and leave it on the other side of the street, of course, that pushes adoption even further. So I don't know that we want to look at investing in, you know, machinery out there when people are willing to go to their phones. I think we just need to give it a little bit more time. And then eventually look at removing that excess street furniture out there and just having the signs.
So you're saying the technology's moved far enough ahead that the meters are becoming antiquated?
I'm saying that people are using their phones more.
I think
I
we're
don't think
saying the same thing.
Yeah, maybe that's the same thing. You just
All
the
right.
idea of having less equipment to repair, less money to collect out there, taking less bills and coins. Yeah, it makes management of the on-street so much more palatable and easier. But so
You just have to keep sending people out there to replace the signs that people take out of the ground because
Yeah.
they figure they can make it a no parking that way.
right, yeah, and maybe what we need to look at is how to dig the poles deeper.
How to
I mean,
secure
just for
those signs, yes.
how to foolproof the signs. I don't know that anyone's discovered that yet. There's always someone trying to break the system. But I don't think we have any public comments today. Melanie, did anyone sign up for public comments?
No comments.
Okay. So this brings me to the end of my presentation. We have an open forum, and before I do that, I wanted to recommend that our December meeting be canceled. It's scheduled for December 20th, and I know it's pretty close to the holidays. Not sure who all will be available, and I thought it would be appropriate to cancel December and then regroup in January. I'm happy to, we'll send you the updates, the numbers by email. And of course, you can call me if you have any questions or anything. But is that okay with you all to cancel the December meeting, take December off?
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But
Good.
what I would say in replace of just completely taking the meeting or canceling the meeting is can you know, one of the takeaways here be to get with Councilmember Kamen's office and understand what type of support she's providing for HPD for this, you know, this traffic initiative, if you will. Understand how much money she's committed to it. Try to get a handle on how much that if we were to run that on an annual basis, how much money that would cost.
Mhm.
So that, you know, we show up in January with an idea of
Yeah.
what that initiative looks like in terms of, you know, what we may or may not be able to assist with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My plan was to reach out to Councilmember Kamen Cayman's office, find out the details like you've talked about. And I want to send you guys some information in December. So we can leave the call on the calendar if there's questions about it. But my hope is that I can get you information, and maybe we could talk about a potential, money point of, okay, this is what we're willing to contribute to this cause, so that when we meet on January, you've got kind of the backup to what we're going to discuss. This is how much HPD wants. This is how much Councilmember Cayman's giving. This is how much they can get from others. And this is how much they need. And how much of the need can we meet then?
Yeah, perfect.
So yeah, I'd like to get you that in December sometime, and then January we could discuss it. And if we feel comfortable, I mean, I'm happy to take a vote and get moving on that project as well.
No, and I know it's local and it's specific to a small, area of Washington. I also recommend and understand that, our charge here is to, manage and put money back into the public realm all along Washington. But, my argument would be 95% of the meter revenue comes from a 5-block area. So that meter revenue is just going back in to support the challenges that having all of those cars in that area presents.
No, I agree with you. There needs to be more of a concerted effort on mitigating the traffic issues that occur there late at night. We don't really see it happening on other parts of Washington. This is, it's a safety issue. So I have no quarrels with it being focused over here. We're not taking the entire our WPBD budget and spending it all on one focused area. We're looking at projects that encompass the entire boundary area, and then we're also focusing in on key problematic areas, which I think is perfectly acceptable. I defend that.
Yeah, I mean, if the East End was ever to develop like this 4-block stretch would, they would have the same problem. They would have the same or receive the same benefit, because the parking meter revenue would substantially increase down there, and they would want it to be deployed back into that area. So, yeah, I think we can support it.
Yeah. Okay, so I will get that information and bring it back to y'all in December. And if you have any questions, you can email me, or we can have a phone conversation, anything. And hopefully by January, we have some more details worked out on what is needed to support that effort. Okay, we have an open forum at this point. Is there anything that anybody would like to bring up, or do you have any project ideas? You didn't get a chance to say it earlier, or questions about the presentation? Is everybody ready for Thanksgiving next week? I can't believe it's already here.
No.
Nobody's ready. Time's going by too fast. Okay, well, our next meeting will be January 17th at noon, same time. We'll send you reminders in the agenda and the meeting minutes in advance. Look for communication from me in December about the HPD initiative. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please call me. I think all of you have my cell number. If you don't, I can send it to you. But I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining us today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mark. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sharon. All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all. Have a wonderful
Thanks, Maria.
day. A happy
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Happy
And
holidays.
oh, I can't believe I'm saying that. All right. Thank you, guys.